Blind Faith Live. Real people, real miracles.
6-7 years ago, it made a headline on CNN. The Lady of Guadalupe, the baby moved, and it was recorded on TV. The baby moved in her stomach because she's pregnant.
One of many supernatural events in regards to Our Lady of Guadalupe. Hi, and welcome again. My name is Philip Keller. I'm legally blind, and this is Blind Faith Live. Real people, real miracles. Complete new episodes every Tuesday. But on Sundays, we like to look back at other inspired moments with Dr. Issam Nemeh and Issam's Insights here on Blind Faith Live. I think I was about 3 Hail Marys into a rosary when this song bubbled up out of nowhere. Old King song, Tired of Waiting for You.
So tired of waiting for you.
And we spiritualize the lyrics. Who's tired of waiting for whom?
So tired of waiting.
And my wife Beth says, I think it's about you. You're tired. I thought about it. I plead guilty.
I was a lonely soul.
Had nothing going on.
I met you.
And I meet Dr. Nemeh and all these miracle stories, and it brings me to my faith, and I realize that Jesus is indeed still walking with us. And the impatient part here of late has just been, and I just need to be patient, but it's one of those things, and maybe you suffer from this too when you hear these stories and other things we talk about here, but impatience with the church just saying something from the pulpit when the supernatural thing that happen are scientific in nature. Putting Dr. Nemeh aside, we're talking the global things that happen that seem to be ignored. Although I got really excited today, I went on YouTube and I found somebody.
Instead of looking up sports scores and other things that are really dumb on the internet, you should look up Eucharistic miracles. Because there are over 120 Eucharistic miracles authoritatively proved by the church and by science.
Yes!
Oftentimes people are like...
This is Father Jonathan Myers, I believe. Dover, Indiana, in the Indianapolis Archdiocese, I think is what I read. And it gladdened my heart. Here was someone after my heart here because he was talking about a couple of Eucharistic miracles. I think there were a couple in Poland and then one in Argentina in the last several years. And in which a host, communion host, a consecrated host, the Eucharist, was found, like on the floor, discarded, and you can't just throw those away. This is the body and blood of Jesus Christ. So you either consume it yourself, if you're the priest or Eucharistic minister, or you put it into water and it will dissolve. In maybe all three cases, they decided to put it into water, and then you put it in the tabernacle, and in time it dissolves. And in all of these cases, the same thing happened. The host did not dissolve. Instead, it became bloody. And they watched it. And in all these cases, there are varying times where they watched one time up to 3 years where they just let it be and didn't tell anybody. But they would watch it. And in time, these samples were handed over to us without telling the scientists involved, the researchers involved, the people who were going to test these substances. They didn't tell them what it was. They just gave it to them and then said, you tell us what it is. And what comes back again and again and again is that when this kind of thing happens is that it is flesh. It has human DNA, and it comes from the left ventricle of the human heart. And they will also tell you that this heart was under distress, like it was beaten about the chest. They will also tell you that the type of blood is AB positive, which, by the way, is the same blood that's on the shroud. And that's why this priest is so excited. This science is proving God.
Science has never, and science will never disprove God. Because every single time that science stands before God, all it can do is study the glory of God and then end up speechless. Now, if you don't believe in the Eucharist, I'm just going to say, wake up call, hello, this is crazy.
This is crazy. Yes, it is. And it's why every priest isn't up there talking about this. I don't know. And that's why that's my impatience. But I'm so glad Father Jonathan Myers was talking about it. And that brings us to, let's take a look at Our Lady of Guadalupe for just a moment here.
It's the picture of the encounter between heaven and earth, when Our Lady appeared to Juan Diego on December 12, 1531.
And led to, about 10 million people converting to Christianity in Mexico. 1531. Well, that must have been pretty powerful to do that. Yes, it was. Juan Diego, he's walking along. He meets this woman. I think that there was like 3 encounters, I think, and some roses are involved that don't grow in this area. But to prove the point to a bishop that there was this special lady saying that a church needed to be in a particular spot. So Mary said, pick those roses, put them in your cloak, your tilma, and take them to the bishop, and that will be his sign. And sure enough, that's what he does. He wraps up these roses in this tilma, and he takes them to the bishop, and he unravels it, and out fall the roses, but left imprinted on his cloak is this beautiful image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, the woman who had said, pick those roses over there. And there are so many things on this image, so many things you can go into. And the beauty is science, 500 years later, is proving the point even more than it did then. And first of all, this tilma should have self-destructed in 15, 30 years. Made out of cactus, and it should just fall apart in 15 to 30 years. And this thing's lasted 500 years. And this image that should have faded away long ago looks like it was done last week. And the ingredients making the pigmentation, they're not even sure what that stuff is. It's like not of this world. They take the temperature of the image, 98.6. It's alive. Well, the stars, we'll talk about these stars that are behind her and how that's exactly where those stars and constellations were on that day, December 12th, 1531. Only, not from the earthly point of view, but from a heavenly point of view, everything's inverted, like it's looking at things from out there, looking back in here. And then there are the eyes of Our Lady of Guadalupe. You know how your eyes reflect whatever's in front of you? So do her eyes. And now here we are about 500 years later, and with science and microscopes and all of that kind of stuff, they can see that her eyes are reflecting what? People, including Juan Diego.
In its simplest form, the Purkinje-Sanson law states that whenever we see any object, the object is reflected in each eye, not once, but in 3 different places. This threefold reflection is caused by the curvature of the eye's cornea. 2 of the reflections are always right side up, and 1 is always upside down. The reflections of Juan Diego in the Virgin's eye correspond precisely to the Purkinje-Sanson law. Multiple reflections are found exactly as they would be found in a human eye that sees a person.
I just love it. I love it when science proves God. And especially, here we are hundreds of years later, and now they're getting down to the microscopic level and able to prove even more of how from God Our Lady of Guadalupe is. It's very cool, very cool. Oh, we're going outside here. We're going outside. Yep, going out on my back deck. Beth is out gardening, and Dr. Issam, Nemeh, and I will talk about this and not gardening.
It's so nice out.
Yeah, it's nice, and away we go with what does a person have to do to hear these kinds of things within the church?
Well, it's for the interested, and you are seeking, you'll always hear about this stuff. Depends on every one of us,
And that's an individual thing. Anyway.
Yes. Are you seeking or not,
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll be finding those things,
Yeah.
Here, like Guadalupe, and then some 6-7 years ago, it made a headline on CNN during her feast.
Mm-hmm.
The baby moved, and it was recorded on TV. The baby moved in her stomach because she's pregnant.
Right.
Yeah,
And there's symbols actually on the on that say that she is pregnant.
Yes, and it moved. The baby moved.
That's
Yeah, and not only this, after that they had another sign. One Filipino guy is gifted, and he goes around, visits different cities and stuff. And at the end of their service, usually he has rose petals, and one of the rose petals suddenly, they show different images of holy things.
Mm-hmm.
So it showed the Lady of Guadalupe, but she had the baby in her hand, delivered already.
Okay. And what do we take that?
And the Lady of Guadalupe, that's the exactly like it is, like Saint John saw it in Revelation. dressed with the sun and the moon underneath her feet, and she's pregnant, ready to deliver a male child. So this was a huge sign that everybody missed.
That it's coming. Everything keeps coming to that it's coming. We're getting there, aren't we?
We are getting there.
The other thing that is so amazing are her eyes. Do you know about her eyes?
About the eyes, I read the book. One of my patients brought me that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you could see the image. They enlarged it. You could see the image of the bishop and people standing in front of her.
And Juan Diego, and I mean, you can actually see it on that.
In her eyes.
Yeah, in the reflection, as all eyes do reflect whatever's in front of them.
Yes.
It's fascinating, and it's what I love about that is things that they couldn't see then, they can see now.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, and the constellation, too, on her robe, the stars and stuff, it fits the same exact date when they reverted it back to that date.
Mm-hmm. But from a heavenly viewpoint, not from Earth, from a heavenly viewpoint, looking back this way, which is also interesting. I mean, it just goes on and on, just on and on.
Yes.
And the fact that it shouldn't even be around now. It's 500 years ago almost, and that thing should last about 15 to 30 years, they say, this cactus that it's made on. And they even said the temperature of the image is 98.6 degrees.
Yes.
Yeah, it just goes on and on and on. I would think you could give that, Our Lady of Guadalupe, you could give that to someone and just say, study that, and if that doesn't bring you to your faith, as it did to almost 10 million people?
Yes.
500 years ago that came to Christianity?
They converted the Indians.
Yeah. Or we're also talking about how in the Eucharistic miracles that have happened over the centuries, now once again the science can prove out the type of blood it is, and that it came from, it's the heart muscle, and all those things, too, are proving out science once again. It's got to gladden you, because you're all about science. I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons you're walking this planet.
Yeah, and I mean, we keep on talking about invisible becoming visible and all of that. That's the nature of existence. Not only this, there's something that is very important for everyone to realize. We are, again, created according to His image and likeness. The full knowledge is within the Son of God, because everything takes form within Him. He is the Creator, like in Him and through Him and for Him, like it is written. Mm-hmm. Now, when it comes to the fallen one, he wanted himself to be God. So what he did, he went down to the lowest level, which is our level, and he is trying to occupy space in there, and he is trying to impose himself upon all the creatures there are, and playing it like God, and that's the nature of our experience when it comes to that type of influence that he has in here. But he doesn't have a full control, because he occupied only a certain space, and good and evil are opposing each other, on our level. Mm-hmm. So the hand of God is still in it, and that's what is allowing everything to continue. So when everything is done, then God will remove, God the Son will remove His hand from it, because by the power of His mind, He maintains everything together.
And it goes back again to, and this is an aspect we don't talk about a lot of, and you never even hear the question asked, why do the fallen angels want our souls? What's the benefit? We know that selfishness is ego.
The benefit is such because they want to block us. We are the heart of that redemptive act. In a sense, we are the ones who are blocking them. That's why we are their enemies. You see? So
this is key. I want people to hear this.
It is key.
This is key. There's a reason they want your soul. There's a reason they want to crawl inside you and influence you and everything else.
Because we are blocking them.
Yeah, because we have power over them. We can neutralize their influence.
Exactly.
And that is huge. And
otherwise, why should they care about us? In the human mind that is physical, they think those are higher powers and they look up to them. But the truth is, we are the higher power. And we occupy a way higher space. Even with our nature being fallen right here, still we are occupying higher space than they are. You see?
And you're showing that in your office, healing services.
Yes.
You're certainly showing
that. So, yes. That's why we are the enemies.
Yeah. And we are learning here through you that we all have that same access.
Yes.
There's different levels of that surrender, of that mindset.
Exactly.
And there's a whole lot more to it.
There's a lot more. Wake up, everybody. Wake up. Know who you are. Know how precious every human being is in the eyes of God. We are rendering such a great service. We are at the forefront of everything. We are the center. The center and the reason behind this existence today. And all powers are looking at us. Everyone is looking at us. The good ones and the bad ones
are looking at us.
They're looking at us. Even with the good ones, we are the hope. You see?
Because we're changing their lives too.
We're changing all their reality altogether.
As things get better,
yes,
it gets better for them too.
Of course. Yeah. That's why, the choir of angels, leads the soul going back to Jesus, It's with the celebration,
Yeah. Because we come into this world thinking, and I think we live most of our lives assuming that everything is perfect for those angels, that they're just going about their business and this is their job, without realizing that the fallen angels have dragged them down too, have changed their consciousness as well.
Exactly.
Things used to be harmonious, now not so much.
Yes.
And every now and then I'll get emails about dreams. And we've talked about dreams, that people are being brought to Christianity through dreams and visions of Christ, and Christ coming to people in their dreams. Are dreams totally on a spiritual level?
Dreams are on a spiritual level as a soul, as a spirit that has the physical experience. That's what the soul is. But here, when your mind dissociates itself from the physical, that when you go to sleep, then it starts perceiving according to its own experience. So the spiritual will experience a higher level of dreams, of visions. And dreams, I should say, not visions.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of
those are purely spiritual experiences.
Does God use that as a gateway to us?
Yes.
Would you say that?
Yes.
And does it go the other way too? Is it a gateway for us to find our way to?
To find our way to God too.
Works both ways.
But the intention plays a major role when it comes to the content of those dreams.
Someone else sent an email about, because they've been in the room when you have been treating somebody and then just stop and turn towards somebody else in the room, where you suddenly stopped a treatment and just turned and said, you have pain or whatever, and you went and treated and all the pain went away.
Yes.
Can you describe what goes on in you? What
goes on, especially when they come together, and usually they care about each other when they come in, friends or sisters or whatever. When they come in, they know what it's all about, and they sometimes they have some misconceptions. So they are sitting in the background. And when things are happening, their mind starts wandering sometimes in the wrong direction. Because sometimes manifestation is so powerful. And the minds of some actually came, and I've encountered at the office, and they thought to themselves, what kind of an arrogant guy is that?
Who does he think he is?
He thinks he is, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Jesus reveals those thoughts.
Right.
And here my function is to alleviate their pains, to let them know what the whole thing is all about, And we have beautiful stories that way.
Amazing. Tons of them. Tons of them.
We have a lot of beautiful stories that change the lives of those who came with the needy ones. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. God is so good to us.
Do you remember the first time? And I know everyone wants to know about first times with you and when certain things happen, and it's just always been there. But I think about in Lenore talking about how with her brother, she brought her brother in, and he had a bone out of place in his hand because of a work he does, and you just took his hand and bone moved back to where it was supposed to be, and he just watched with his jaw, hitting the floor. Do you remember anything about the first time, even when you were very young, of witnessing that?
I witnessed that with the elderly. I used to take care of the elderly around us, and I've witnessed it. Oftentimes you see their bones going back in place, and they feel so good. And they used to love me. Those old ones used to really love me.
This is when you were still in Syria, then.
Yeah. Small kids,
And you would just what? You would know where to go even then?
Yes, I had a feeling, and they used to let me know. But you could feel that we are such powerful beings. You go back to that subject, when your mind is focused, you become part of the creative process. You influence the reality around us. Our minds are the reflection of God's mind, especially when you are in harmony with Him. So things do change in front of your eyes. And you have that direct consciousness that is so linked to what could physically change. It's like the sense of touch that you have. But here you have a certainty that it's going to move, that it's going to change, that type of a powerful connection of the mind to matter, So praying sometimes, especially when people are connected, it's so certain it's going to happen. It could be a big, huge deformity. Could be a bone that healed the wrong way. It will melt down and it will rearrange itself, to that degree. But the certainty, the knowledge that you have, that during that time when things are transforming, inner knowing.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's not a sense of, I'm going to try this, I hope this works.
It's inner knowing, know it's going to move. Just like you want to move your hand and it moves, with that certainty that your hand definitely is going to respond to your mind, exactly the same type of feeling that you get when things are going to transform. Of course, the connectedness of the people and their openness to God and their love and whatever, is in there. It plays a major role in doing that. I mean, you have to have your mind belonging. You have to be marked somehow through your faith or love in order for you or me to experience that type of feeling and that type of certainty, So
when you see stories, and there are more stories all the time about this, everyone's afraid of the chip in the forehead or the arm and all that stuff, and we're seeing it manifest.
Chip is in the brain, not the forearm. It's in the brain.
It's in the brain?
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean?
The chip is going to be in the brain, not in the forearm.
They're actually going to put a chip in the brain?
In the brain.
Because, there was recently stories about that, about how eventually, for all commerce, people are going to be so tired of credit card fraud that they, all you have to do is put the little wave the little wand above your forehead or whatever.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Should we be afraid of that stuff, or is it?
I'm afraid of nothing. As a Christian, why should I be afraid?
Because because all that mark of the beast stuff and all that, but it's inherent in the system, is it not?
My faith is such. No matter what, I belong to Jesus anyway. It does not impede me.
Is there anything you would avoid doing or having done?
Avoid nothing. I avoid nothing, and I abide by the law that God is allowing.
Okay.
So that's why he made sure to tell them, pay Caesar what is Caesar's, and God what is God's. So if there are some laws imposed upon us, we have to abide by the law. As a Christian, I will abide by the law.
Interesting.
Yes.
Because it's what still boils down to what your intention is. Your intention.
My intention, yes.
Your mind, your heart.
Exactly.
It's all you, regardless of what they do to you.
You see, not only this, look how evil works. He tries to induce fear and uncertainty in people. That's how he wins. Because then he locks you in this fallen reality. That's how they blind us, through the system, through things that worry us. That's the mechanism by which they control the human beings. So any of those things that they are spreading, like making people fear a chip or stuff like that, this induces fear in you. And it's serving the evil purpose.
Because fear never
It
comes
induces no fear whatsoever in me.
It's a good message, Issam.
Yes.
It's a good reminder. Yeah. You've said it before, but that's a very good reminder.
Yes,
no
but
matter
you
what
see,
they do.
when I trust in Jesus. I belong to Him. Mm-hmm. I offered myself to Him. I worry about nothing. That's the sign of your trust in Him.
With that in mind, what do you suggest people pray for most?
Love of God. Love of God. To pray to God to give us the grace of love for Him. That's the most important prayer.
It's kind of a help me love you more.
Yes.
Help me love others more.
Yes. You love God, you love everybody.
In the last week or so, I've heard the word trust used, and I've heard the word hope used. Would you say that as we trust more, hope becomes less important? The word hope seems to be...
hope, yeah.
You know, it kind of lags behind after a while.
Hope becomes a certainty. Mm-hmm. Hope, you hope for things to happen, But
and it becomes more of a knowing.
There's no hope anymore.
Yeah, the hope disappears, does it not?
It does.
Yeah, hope disappears. It becomes less.
Yeah.
And because you trust, and you know, and it's just...
Do you think that Jesus, as a son, will hope that the Father will communicate to him? I mean...
Well said. Well said. Yeah. Hope is very important early on, though. Hope is very important.
Course, yeah.
It really kind of...
part of the journey.
Keeps you in the game. Keeps you in the game.
Hope is part of your faith.
Right.
Hope is part of your love. Mm-hmm.
That was well said. Thank you, Dr. Issam Nemeh, the physician of unshakable faith. Thank you for listening to Blind Faith Live. Real people, real miracles. Complete new episodes every Tuesday. See you then. I'm Philip Keller.